Hi, it's Juris and welcome to Tattoo Shop Talk, and today we will take a look at stencil machines. This is not like a review type of video of which one is better and which one is not. This is just my experience working with these machines. These stencil machines I have used in my shop, I have used in other shops that I worked before. They all have their ups and downs and we will look at all of them. And like always, if you have anything to add, to mention, feel free to use comment section. Any tip, any trick will be useful. So we have this big boy from KW Metal Technic at www.thermocopier.com, made in Germany. Right away, this is my favorite one and I'll share with you why. Then we have here these Pocket Jets PJ673 and Pocket Jet PJ723. And here's the cheapest one. This is just a generic, doesn't even have a name. Yeah, even its manual doesn't say its name, but that's the cheap one, generic one. So we have these four machines and banana for a scale. So this is how big is the big one, this how big is the cheap one, and Pocket Jets are almost the size of average banana. That's the size comparison. Let's start with the cheapest one and then we'll go to the mid-range and then the most expensive one. The cheapest no-name one, it comes in, the price pretty much varies. It can be starting from, if lucky, around 100 euros and could be up to like 2.5 depending where you buy. You can find these on Amazon, you can find these at your tattoo supplier. If you are more savvy ordering from all those AliExpress type of things, you can find it even cheaper. This is pretty much what you get. It comes in a box, you get machine, you got instruction manual and cable, and I'm pretty sure that this one came with the adapter to European plug as well. And the way it operates, obviously it plugs where it should be. There's a power button on the side. Once you switch it on, it makes this noise. Beep. And there's a bunch of buttons. Copy, we have stop button, we have mirror, we have photo button, and deepness 1 and deepness 2. I don't know why the photo button is there, but if you know it, then share that in the comment section so we all know about it. And the way it works is following. You need printed out design and you need a sheet of stencil paper. Remove the unnecessary part. Some people cut them off, some people bend them. That's up to you. Then you have to load the stencil paper and that goes in there. I like to keep them as long as I can sort of together so it doesn't make a lot of mess, because once you cut this part off, the sheets go separate, they roll up in little pieces and whatnot. So this is my preferred method. We get it up in here. We clip this in. I have a mirror button on and I have deepness 1. For this type of design it could be actually also deepness 2. And when you put design in, you face it towards the copy part, so with the white part facing you, you put it in there and it sort of grabs it. And you press copy. So we've gotten as far as we need, we can press stop. The rest of paper comes out. Open it up. And we have a copy of what we fed into machine. Bam! On the bigger bolder lines it can start to burn it to itself, so then you can use deepness 1, or if it still burns then you have to play around with settings on how you print. Maybe reduce opacity of layers, or maybe play around with photocopy filters. If areas are too black, too bold, too dense, it will start to burn it. Sometimes you can get away just by simply pulling a bit on the stencil paper, so it sort of helps to rip it off from the burnt part and it works fine. But if it's too dark, then you need to sort out the thing that you feed into the machine. You can feed into it full sheets if you need to save some corner. So let's say we need just the rose, which is on this side of paper, which will go in there. Since it's mirrored, it would print out on the opposite side. So then we feed the stencil paper on that side. Close it slightly. Make sure it's in place, make sure it's not off of each other. And my recommendation for all of these stencil machines is stay away from the far sides, because if it goes too close to the side, it starts to sort of fold and then you get those crack sort of things. Okay, let's press deepness 1. And let's press copy. Stop. And we have this. If for some reason you need to mirror the image, then you just make sure that mirror button is not shining. Then we do the same, feed the paper in, bada bing, bada boom. And now it will be mirrored and it will be on this side because it sort of copies onto it. Feed the paper in, bzz, copy. And we have a mirrored image. So you can see there's two thingies on this side, they're on this side, so it's sort of flipped. Sometimes it can be useful, sometimes it can mess things up, and especially if you forget about it. Let's say some Chinese symbol or some rune type of things, or maybe even like a rose, it's designed to fit certain place, and then you print it, it kind of looks the same. You stick it on, you start to tattoo, and at some point you realize that, oh, that's other way around, it's flipped, so that's not that good. As for usage of stencil paper, you can use full sheets and you can cut those things up. Inch type of a thing from what it looks you would have on top, and rest obviously doesn't matter. You can save some stencil paper if you need to, but if you're one of those maniacs who uses full sheets and prints out things like that, please don't, because then you have this big sheet of paper and then you end up cutting out this hole in the center. On tattoo groups it's almost on a meme level. When you start to pay for stencil paper, you start to realize how dumb of an idea it is. But if your shop provides it, then you obviously cut those things left and right, but it's not that cheap, so keep in mind that you don't want to be too wasteful. And being wasteful in general is not a great idea, so be reasonable. And why I still keep instruction manual, it's because on the back of it, actually I have to write it on a machine, there's a way to reset the machine. Sometimes it starts to do funky stuff for no reason, so you checked all the darkness of the black inks, you've done and tried everything you can, you cleaned the rolls, and it still does funky stuff. For example, I've seen for some it prints out half of the image nice and then it starts to do these weird lines. There's one way before you throw it out, is to reset it. So what you do, you press stop for 3 seconds and then it will make this noise. And the error button goes red. And then you press mirror and it starts to make tuk-tuk-tuk noises. And then you press copy. And the error button is still on, you press and hold stop. Boom, it should be reset. If it doesn't work in that sequence, try to press them for longer time, together, differently, but you start with stop, then if there's a noise, then press mirror, then there's another noise, press copy, and then it beeps, and then it should be reset. Overall about this machine, downside is obviously because its price is the cheapest, it's also the cheapest built, so they tend to break. I worked in places where this roll got detached, but we still managed to somehow tie it, and it worked for quite some time. And also I experienced with some that they would sort of stretch the image, which is not cool. We kind of, at that place, we already figured it out. When we printed image, we would sort of shrink it one way or other, it depends the way you feed it in. So when it stretches it, it sort of evens it out. And sometimes it even can work for your advantage. If you put it like on a round place and it's a bit more stretch, it actually looks as it should be. But that's the thing with these machines, they're cheap, so they're not the best built. They could have errors, they don't last forever. And again, it's the cheapest one, so if you're tight on budget, this is the one. It may not work forever, but if you really need one, it's pretty good. It's also pretty good with fine details, with fine lines. And like with all these type machines, like you have to fight with if there's a dense black areas or lines that go all the way across some lines, then it tends to burn to it. If you have one and it does funky stuff, then first thing obviously try, maybe it's the print, the design that you feed in, so make it lighter, reduce opacity of the layer when you print it. Another thing, clean the rolls. And the third thing, actually it doesn't matter in which order, try to reset it before you throw it out. If it's messed up, throw it out and get a new one, because it's the cheapest one. So it's not that big of an investment. Oh yeah, and it's pretty lightweight. It's not heavy, and it comes with just this cable. So this is basically the whole unit. Super lightweight, you can throw it in a bag if you need to travel. Since it's very plasticky and that plastic doesn't feel like the best one on the planet, if you need it for travel, maybe pack it sort of accordingly so it's safe. So that would be it about this machine. Cheapest one, not the worst one, works pretty straightforward as long as it works.